Hi, everybody. Hey. So tell me the truth now. You like the new look? Let me try to sit down. It's so uncomfortable. I got a lot of weight on me, on my shoulders. Oh, I can't get into the seat. Oh my God. Ah! Wait, get this hat off of me. Oh, please, guys, man, jeez. Oh, you people, man, you drive me nuts every time. It never fails. Please give me a break. Oh, God, this is so silly. I can't believe it. Wait a minute, guys. Wait a minute, we have an important issue here. Okay, so, hi, everybody. I'm sorry. I was put up to do this. It wasn't my idea. Believe me, if you can believe that, it was not my idea. Welcome to the show. We're going to start off on a serious note here. Please, give me a little credit. There's two Bible verses in the book of Luke, which is one of the interesting four Gospels of the life of Jesus. It's one of the most beautiful ones. Rumor has it that it was written by the apostles aimed at the Greek people. That's why it's so full of parables, but it has some of the nicest stories which you will not find in any of the other three Gospels. How do you like that? But there's one verse in particular which to me is the cornerstone of Jesus Christ, not of the Christian religion. We've already been through this. They're opposites. The cornerstone of the Christian religion, I think, is hypocrisy, the leaven of the Pharisees that Jesus spoke of. But the corner of Jesus, of his spiritual revolution, is right here in Luke chapter 6, verse 39. Is it 39? Yeah, I can't see. No, 36. 37. Let's leave it at 37. Chapter 6 of Luke. Judge not, and you shall not be judged. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned. Forgive, and you shall be forgiven. Judge not, condemn not. To me, that's the foundation of Jesus' message that he came to give us. Not the Christian religion's message. And here is one of the most beautiful parables also, just to give you more about the real personality of Jesus Christ. Here's a real nice parable in Luke chapter 18, right? Verses 9 through verses 14. King James Version is the only version I recommend. And he spake, this is Jesus talking, and he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous, and so they despised others. He spoke this parable for people who trusted in themselves that they were righteous, and therefore despised others. Two men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee, a religious man, and the other a publican, a sinner. The Pharisee stood and prayed like this: God, I thank you that I'm not as other men are, extortioners, riffraff, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in the week, and I give tithes of all my possessions. But the publican, standing afar off, would not even lift up his eyes to heaven, but smote on his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, went on Jesus, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. So there you have it. And one of the key parts of this verse is that the publican, when he prayed, he said, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. He didn't say, help me to stop being a sinner. He accepted himself as he was. He said, be merciful to me, a sinner. Accepting that's what he was. That's what I am. I am a sinner. Be merciful unto me, therefore. So, how do you like that? Those are two parables of Jesus. So, I think they don't need much explanation. Now, one of the other subjects that I wanted to talk to you about, talking about sinners and all that kind of stuff, was about the founder of the Children of God Family International. His name was David Berg. He was otherwise known as Moses David, or King David, as they called him. When I first encountered, I never met him personally, but when I first joined the Children of God Family International, they would read his writings, which were called the Mo Letters. And honestly, I really liked him. I really liked the guy. He struck me right because he was like a sinner talking about beautiful ladies and burning bras and brassieres and about being a revolutionary for Jesus and loving the world and etc., etc. A lot of his writings I found to be, I liked them. I'll be honest with you, I liked them. They tickled my fancy, man. But until one of them, he read a letter that is called "Are You a Good Sport?" and it talked about sports and the international sports of all sorts and how it's such a part of humanity, etc. Competitiveness, competition in sports, and he really brought out a light about it, about how it was. Came from greed and aggressiveness and competitively hurting the opponent, and that it was kind of brutal in a way. He brought that side in that Mo letter, "Are You a Good Sport?" saying that it was better to be a peacemaker and a hippie instead of a big muscle-bound sportsman and pushing other guys and breaking his ribs and kicking his ankles, etc., or punch him in the nose, break his nose. He brought out that side of sports was not good, and it hit me when they read that letter, because my father was a professional soccer player in Peru and for Alianza Lima, and so I was brought up. My father always wanted us to be very involved in sports before he passed away and I became a hippie. So I could relate to this. David Berg, was saying that it's a redneck thing, that the sports is very redneckish, kind of mean to one another, etc. But anyway, let's leave that, and that's nowhere. But the deal is that David Berg had a talent. He was a very highly talented. He wrote some incredible writings and brought a light on Jesus Christ in a more hippie style, something that I had never seen before. So I honestly believe that David Berg was some sort of a genius. He had an incredible talent and extremely charismatic, or else he wouldn't have had, or still I think has, thousands upon thousands of followers. So he definitely was extremely charismatic, intelligent, bright, and he wrote some classics. Some of the basic Mo letters that David Berg wrote, undeniable. I mean, if you're going to deny it, it's because you're just trying to throw everything away, the good and the bad, and not realizing that in every bad there's some good, and in every good there's some bad. So you got to rescue things that are not altogether all bad. You got to rescue the good, because everything happens for a reason. And if God allowed you to be in that organization, it was for a reason. And there's got to be some good to be rescued and valued, which is that. Some of those basic Mo letters, not to mention the music. Obviously, the Family International Children of God attracted a lot of musicians. Not real big famous musicians, most of them, but hippies and kids that were really into music because of the idealism of wanting to change the world. So through that idealism and through that the belief and the excitement of the organization in those days, I think they've calmed down a lot, but in those days they were really into love and showing love unconditionally, and really it was a revolution, a spiritual revolution, and in those days they were on fire. Don't ask me where the fire went, but they were on fire. So that attracted a lot of idealistic young people and musicians, which dedicated themselves to compose and write music within, being inspired from all that energy and positive energy within the organization, that they wrote some absolutely beautiful, I mean, phenomenal music, just as comparable as some of the phenomenal Mo letters that David Berg wrote. I mean, all based on a true essence of spiritual love and revolution. It was beautiful. Only sad to say that obviously they, just like David Berg never wrote a book that was, published in a normal book world, they also never really recorded their music in a way where the whole world could hear it. It was mostly kept within the commune. No contact with the outside world. But there was some positive things. I can't stress it enough. The music and the basic writings of David Berg, I mean, they were humongous and monumental and great. But then, on our next chapter, we'll be talking about how the bigger they come, the harder they fall. And why? Because of the man worship, because of the idolatry. When people start worshiping a charismatic personality, somebody up there gets jealous and will make sure that they have a fall, that they will fall, that they will have a big fall, and that big secrets will be revealed, and skeletons will be jumping out of the closets, because God doesn't like man worship. He wants God worship. So, not that everything was wrong, but hey, I love you. Thank you. And don't you worship me. Don't, please. I don't want to fall. Don't worship me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.